we're back again, still in the Midas Letter Studio. I think that worked. I think they were able to get on both sides. That's what you get for doing these live broadcasts. You know, anything can happen. You just got to work with it, run with it, and play with it. So here we are. We're good to go.
Yeah, anything can happen.
Just like the cannabis industry.
American, what's it sitting at right now? 183.
Yeah, American. It's been holding up. So we just finished the American interview there. I love talking to Graham. A lot of insight with him there. But it's nice to see pieces coming together because we've spoken about this before. All the stocks came down at the same time. It was just what was happening.
Yeah.
But there were also situations with American, in the past that led it to be following further, and they've been trying to play catch up from that ever since. The company's still been going, but the image there, those things stay for a long time.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see that all of those different aspects now appear to be in the past. I know Midas Letter has written an article actually about turning a new page of a new chapter. I do believe personally, as an investor, I'm invested in them, that has happened. Today, the preliminary prospectus was also filed. That was another thing that investors were waiting for. They were waiting to see that filed. I think the CSC can have a few comments on that or something like that. Graham was saying that it's in the hands of regulators, so you got to wait a little moment while they get those things together. But it's nice. They've got the cash. They're still going. Our American minutes that we're putting up every single week, showing that construction continue to go and go and go. It's just nice seeing a company branching out into other areas because you and I always talk about. If you're a company just growing flower and that's all you're doing,
not interested.
That is a very, very tough market to be in, just growing flower. Because when you look at American, they're going to be 95,000 kilograms plus. You look at Aurora. Aurora's got Aurora Sky, Aurora Nordic, Aurora Vi, Lachute, Aurora Mountain, Aurora Sun. You look at Canopy and all the greenhouses they've gotten. There's a lot of flower that's going to be growing in Canada.
Yeah.
Is that going to make a difference in 2018? No. They're not there yet. They're not fully. Is it going to start coming into effect 2019? Maybe.
Well, American, yeah, they're on the Ontario list, right?
They're on the Ontario list as well. That's also good to have. I think there's like 17 people or something like that. But back to the flower, we're going to cannabis is going to turn into a commodity. That's guaranteed. Look what happened to Colorado and Washington. It went from like $3,500 a pound down to like $1,100 a pound. That's a huge price drop.
And they have the right guy behind him who's been through that process already. It's Jeff, right?
Jeff Ayotte.
Yeah.
He actually made the first state-of-the-art facility in Colorado.
Right.
So that's why you want to look for
He went through that price crunch.
Exactly. And he knew coming to American, and same thing with the larger LPs, they know they're going to have to be making cannabis well under $1 a gram. Because the price will come down eventually. You'll always have your craft cannabis, your flower, but for the most part, you're going to have a Molson and Coors. You're going to, and with the Molson and Coors beer, not terrible beer, but not the greatest, to each their own.
Yeah.
But you're going to find that with cannabis where a lot of people, they're not going to want 25%, 30% THC. That'll blow them on their couch and they won't be able to move till tomorrow. They're going to want something that's just nice and easy.
What's that beer that has a lot of alcohol in it?
Fax 10?
No,
Fax 10 is one of them.
I'm not a beer drinker, so I don't
Fax
know.
10,
the old English.
That's malt liquor.
One, eh?
Stay away from old English. That is malt liquor and that is dangerous. Last time, I was back in college, and those are stories that I'm very happy that I can't remember to tell you.
You know what? I would like to have something that just mellows you out at night.
Yeah.
Or you've had a stressful day. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a drink.
Edibles or drinks. I think edibles
maybe
or
a
drinks.
coffee.
Yep.
I mean, that's kind of a weird, it's a caffeine. And I don't know.
No, you can get decaf coffee or decaf tea.
I don't want decaf.
Think of chamomile tea right now. You have a chamomile tea to go to bed. I guarantee you. That's why, not Starbucks, but who just came into the cannabis scene. Why can't I think of it?
Man.
I'm completely drawing a blank. Half the people out there probably know what we're talking about. But they came in. I'm going to think about it like once we cut to the next video. But coffee shops are coming in because they know that if you can put it with coffee or with tea, and it's just a little bit of a subtle relaxation, it's going to help you put you to sleep, it's going to help you with anxiety, whatever it be, that's going to be a massive market. And those are the markets you need to start looking into. If your company isn't exporting to other countries, if they don't have their GMP license, if they're not into oils, if they're not into other derivatives or other aspects, why are you invested in them? It doesn't make sense because you're going to look at it in 2019 or 2020 and you're like, damn it, I've lost all my money. And I strongly believe
I love the passion coming out of you.
If you can't differentiate, well, it's true.
It's beautiful.
How many people are talking about this? They're now talking about this. I started moving all my cannabis, so I was up to 26 cannabis stocks at one point. You were calling me crazy.
Yeah, you were crazy. We're crazy.
I am a little bit crazy. We're all crazy. It just depends about how much and to who we show it to. That's a fact. But when it comes to having 26 stocks, that was a lot to maintain for myself, especially what we're doing here and all these different things. So I saw that cannabis was going to continue to go down a certain way. And you know what? I took some big losses. But I look back now, I would have lost another 50% of my portfolio if I kept it in a certain place for a longer amount of time. And we had recently started looking to other areas because, you know, the name of our group, Follow the Money. You know, it's a cliche. People say it all the time, but quite literally, you need to follow the money. If you're going to continue to think that one certain thing, you know, always going into gold or always going to cannabis, or always, if you think that one thing is always going to be making you money, you're a fool. I'm sorry, the past predicts the future. You're going to go through swings. That's why there's a market. You have your peaks and you have your troughs. So you have to look at these different things. So looking at cannabis, you know, I'm going a little bit of a rant right now, but the reason being is that you need to look, where are people putting their money, or try to think proactively, where are they going to put their money?
Well, that's
where
what,
you want to go in
I
first.
mean, that's what we're trying to do, is predict the future.
Exactly.
So let me ask you
how are we doing so far? I'm doing okay.
Yeah, I'm doing all right.
I'm not James West okay. Like, that guy's, what did he say? He won 10,000 shares into Aurora, and then I think that...
No, I don't think it was 10,000 shares. I think it was $10,000.
Was it?
Yeah.
And then, what was it, like 2 days? Maybe even the next day, maybe even? That Canopy News comes, everything goes up, we can't all be that crazy.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think the juniors are going to run again?
Absolutely. Absolutely they're going to.
Okay.
Especially when you're seeing Canopy and these massive companies leading the way. They're usually the ones that lead the way first.
Do you think there's still sort of another hype run where even these juniors that aren't focused or aren't getting into other things that you've just mentioned that are maybe still just growing pot, do you think they're going to run? Or do you think that time, you know, they think there's going to be a real consolidation where they just, you know, speculators don't move those stocks?
Ask me 6 months ago, I would have said yes. But just watching the banks start going into cannabis a little bit more, like Financial Post and those different news agencies are going into cannabis a lot more. I think enough investors got burned, and they weren't stupid. They were just they didn't know what was going on, so they went into it ignorantly and just started throwing darts, and those darts were all rising.
So you think the dart throwing is over?
I think the dart throwing is over because now people can see the past. Now they know what to be looking for because there's enough people speaking about looking for exporting and looking at these other aspects. I think we're still going to have a rising of the tide. Personally, I do. I think October 17th, we're going to be the first country in the G7, G20. We are going to be the second country in the world to fully legalize cannabis other than Uruguay, who was first, I think, back in 2014 or 15. But we will be the first G20 nation to completely legalize cannabis. That's massive. There is no doubt in my mind there's going to be foreign money, there's going to be American money. There's no doubt in my mind that these large institutions are going to prop these prices up again. But please be careful, because if you're caught with a bag after that, well, I think you're in trouble.
Yeah, and you know, we're not offering advice. We're just talking. Two people talking that have been speculating for a while. You know what? I still think when the big guys run, I think money comes out of those, goes into the mid caps, goes into the small caps, and there's a lot more ROI in the small cap space. Yeah. So, you know, I'm going to disagree with you. But that's part because I want you to be wrong.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
you know
fair.
what I mean? I'm conflicted, but no, I think the juniors are still going to run. I just think I've seen it so many times, right? I mean, I know it's going to come to there's going to be a point here where, you know, it's going to get smart. You know what I mean? And there's probably a little bit of a bubble here for sure, and you know, it's going to pop, right? And some of these plays aren't going to be around. It's just the way it is.
And to clarify for myself as well, I think a lot of those juniors will move. I don't think they're all going to move. I think there's going to be some that are just going to be left and they're not going to really see anything, because there's certain companies out there, I won't name any, but they've been waiting for their cultivation license for a very long time, or even worse, their sales, and they're waiting over a year, year and a half, or maybe people are just looking, they're like, someone said that they've got a 3 million square foot facility, and everyone's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's a news release play.
But it's just a news release. I think people are catching on to those things. Well, I just think some of the bottom fish that were never meant to be there, I think might get left behind.
It depends where the narrative narrative is too, right, in the market. I mean, we're going to have a supply crunch, you know, that stuff comes into effect too, right? But hey, if there's a situation for people to make money, traders are going to push things up, right?
Yep.
So we'll see. But no, I mean, you know, there's definitely going to be some companies that are not going to, they're going to.
I think more so it's going to be next year. More so it's going to be next year and beyond, because once legalization hits, it's a lot less speculative
hype
now.
There too, right?
There's hype for sure, but then it comes back to the real life. What does your balance sheet say? What does your income sheet say? Are you making progress? We don't have to think the likes of Cannabis and all these owners are going to be making massive amounts of profit within the first year. They had to endure a lot of debt at times to get to where they are. They had to. They had to. So anyone who's angry at them for dilution or anything, why? They had to be as big as they can, because as soon as you open up the American markets and their federal government starts coming legalized, these Canadian companies have to be large enough, have to have a footing to be able to go to bat with such larger wallets and such bigger companies. I think that's important. They needed to, but soon, whether it be next year or the year after, you're going to start looking. Are you making profit? Are you selling? Do you have more users? You're going to be able to actually crunch a lot more numbers opposed to crunching a lot of speculation. So, you know, it's going to come. When's that going to come? Quite honestly, I don't know. We'd be speculating too much.
Yeah, no, I know. And there's still a lot of rules that you know, institutions and companies want to see. You know, this thing's not sorted out by any means.
No.
Right,
no.
so
we don't even know what's going to happen in April in Ontario, the largest province by GDP and per capita and population in all of Canada.
Well, what do you think about Quebec and how many licenses they have? I think they have 8 or 9. Don't quote me on that.
I am so surprised they don't have more.
Well, what's going on with that?
I don't understand. I know if you follow David Hyde and CCI, Deepak was on here just a moment ago. If you follow those guys, you'll start seeing clues. But they started talking about the fact that Health Canada is preparing for a recreation now. So they had all of these LPs in queue, but what about the micro growers? Right. What about you know, preparing for all these retail stores? What about ensuring all of these retail stores are properly being vetted so that they're getting product from LPs or somebody who's been vetted by Health Canada, and so that you're not just getting, you know, gray cannabis or black market cannabis? I think they're being stretched thin. And I think that because that's what I'm reading, that's what I'm hearing from people who know.
They're not staffed?
They know.
They're not staffed?
No, I remember seeing a tweet from David Hyde one time saying that they're taking over staff to be working on recreational cannabis and micro growers, which is going to make the process longer for cultivation and sales. Don't quote me on that, because this is just from memory, seeing a tweet, but there's been numerous mentions of that. And just think logically, right? If you had all these people and they were just going on cultivation, think of how many more sites they have to look at now. Plus, they have to prepare for legalization in 2 months.
Yeah, but that's a lot of money.
They hire that many people? If there's one thing I know, is that a lot of times the government, you think, oh, there's no way they can get that wrong. Well, what happened to the very first OCS store when they went to go put it? It was within that certain barrier from a school. The first one. So, you know, these things happen.
Well, look what happened in the States when they launched Obamacare.
Yeah. It's when these massive things, this isn't small. Mm-hmm. Cannabis has been illegal for almost 100 years. This is a massive event. Yeah. And when you're having this come out of prohibition like this, there are so many aspects. So I don't mean just to call the government out on that just in general, because think of how many different aspects they have to think about that we're not even, like, in the back of our heads, like treaties and all these different things they have to pull out of. There's a lot of different things. But in general, I don't think they're going to be able to roll it properly because it's way too big of a situation. I think we're going to still be waiting for that. But when it comes to Quebec, I promise you, of all provinces, they will not go without having a fair share of the market. They won't. Quebec will not.
Is my Matica going to have a license? Just tell me that.
Yeah, I can't tell you that.
You can't?
But we're waiting, we're watching, and you know what? David Hyde's on the scenes. And again, I say David Hyde and Associates and CCI a lot, because when you're looking at a company, I didn't look at this before this year. I didn't realize how important compliance firms were, and that was a part of my evolution in cannabis. I've been in cannabis for 5 years almost, about 4 years or so. And that's a very important part. You need to be able to have people who can work with Health Canada to get you the license that you need. And not to mention, make sure that your facility is the way Health Canada actually wants.
Yeah, well, it doesn't help when they're changing their mind all the time. I don't even think David Hyde can keep up with that.
Look at all those people with level 9 vaults for no reason. Well, that's just a few $1 million in concrete. But hey, we're ranting. I love it. But we need to switch gears, because we had John from BMR stop by here. And we were telling people to follow the money. Right now, a lot of these plays are on fire. Look at SICK. Look at Golden, look at GGI, CCW, CLM. They've all had different runs. And although we've got a lot more to talk with John in the future, we did get a chance for him to show his face, show his voice, and come on to the Follow the Money Investor Group Midas Letter show.
All right.
And we have John Patrick Hallstein from BMR, the editor. Welcome to the show, and thank you for coming on.
Brandon, thank you very much for having me here today.
Hey John, it's Karl here. So I was doing some math, and your subscribers would have had the potential for 35 bagger. That's all thanks to the powerful stock of Garibaldi Resources, GGI. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it? But first, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. We've been running the Bull Market Run site here for about 9 years. I come from a family of geologists, Karl, so rocks are certainly in my DNA, you can say. And I went more in the market direction, but I've always had a love for geology, for the exploration market, for the mining sector since I was a teenager. Started investing in the junior resource sector as a teenager, started following the SK camp, more than 30 years ago when I was much younger. I'm in my early 50s now. So I've been very lucky to be able to spend a lot of time with, through my role at bullmarketrun.com, a lot of time with some great geologists, great geophysicists. I've traveled right across the country. We've been on the front lines of some major new discoveries, of some big district plays. I just got back from a 10-day trip to the Northern Ontario Cobalt Camp. So I love getting my boots on the ground. Our whole team loves doing that. I think that's the best way to do research, and that's why we got so fortunate on Garibaldi last year. That was literally thousands of hours of work researching that story, and it paid off.
Yeah, it did, absolutely. You know what? I always tell my friends, always try to bring in people that are smarter than you. So when it comes to mining, you're definitely a lot smarter than me. And I'm a subscriber. It's paid off. You've made me a lot of money. But let's dig right in here to the Golden Triangle, and more importantly, the significance of the SK camp, and what makes Nickel Mountain tick.
Well, let's take a look first off, Karl, at the big picture. So if our folks there can bring up the map of the Golden Triangle. Let's start there for a minute, because the key takeaway here with the Golden Triangle, and this is the SK camp. We'll take a look first at the SK camp here for a minute, and then the bigger picture of the Golden Triangle. The SK camp is very much in the heart of the Golden Triangle. You can see the ENL there, Garibaldi's Nickel Mountain project, right in the heart of one of the richest mineralized districts on the entire planet. You can see the anomaly D there. That's the discovery zone from last year, where they hit over 8% nickel. World-class grades, really in the top 1% of nickel grades anywhere on the planet. And as you can also see, you've got a number of companies involved in the area. This is a big district. It's a big country. I walked a lot of this ground last summer when I was up there for 2 months, actually, in the SK camp. You've got, of course, Colorado over on the western side. You've got Seabridge. They came out with news here today, by the way. You might want to take a look at that. They got great things going on at the Quartz Rise target. You've got Pretium and the Brucejack gold mine, which is one of the richest gold mines anywhere in the world, now in full production. They're going along very nicely. You've got Seabridge's KSM project, the largest reserves of nickel and copper, reserves of gold and copper anywhere in the world. And of course, you got the past SK Creek mine, which Skeena Resources is actually looking at bringing back into production possibly, and the SK mine, which was discovered back in the late 1980s, was one of the richest ore discoveries ever made anywhere on the planet. So, I mean, this is tremendous country, for new discoveries. It's still vastly underexplored. And as Peter Lightfoot has said, Dr. Peter Lightfoot, The idea of a major nickel system in the heart of a gold camp like this is makes perfect sense. It's just that BC has not had that history of nickel exploration, so it's not surprising that it took some nickel geologists from Sudbury, when they finally started looking at this thing, to really determine that, hey, the SK camp is a very fertile ground for a magmatic nickel sulfide system. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely, John. And you know what? I think the juniors are just waiting for a big discovery to ignite the market. That's what we're hoping here for.
We need that. I mean, the junior exploration.
And here's the golden triangle. If we can pause here for a sec.
Yeah, absolutely, Brandon. Now, the big picture here. Now, just think about this for a minute. This is actually a map from Brixton Metals. There's lots of maps out there on the Golden Triangle. I thought this one was pretty informative, and they've kind of extrapolated things a little bit, going quite far to the northwest. But the Golden Triangle is a huge area, and if you look at the historic production, if you look at the current 43-101 resources in the Golden Triangle, we're talking in excess of 200 million ounces of gold, 1.5 billion ounces of silver, about 80 billion pounds of copper. Just think about those numbers for a minute. I mean, the metal endowment of this region is absolutely incredible, and I think that's part of the reason why some people actually have a hard time kind of wrapping their heads around some of the discoveries up here and the potential, because it's just so enormous. I mean, those numbers are staggering. This is clearly one of the greatest mineral districts anywhere on the planet. So the idea that it could also host a magnificent nickel copper-rich sulfide system makes perfect sense. The geology is unbelievable. You've got these strike-slip faults that Peter Lightfoot has talked about that create these open spaces. So you've got incredible endowment here. You've got some incredible deposits, and there's much more to be found. And one thing that really stood out at me last year when I was going through the district, spending a lot of time on the ground. One big advantage here is that you've had a lot of glacial melt. A lot of these glaciers up in the Golden Triangle in the SK camp are receding. That is exposing new mineralization, and that's going to lead to new discoveries. And of course, you're even seeing that up in the Nickel Mountain area as well, and all throughout the Golden Triangle, which we're seeing here on this map. So the deposits that you see there, the mines that you see there, there's only going to be new mines, new discoveries made, multiple new discoveries in the years ahead, and there's so many factors behind that. And also, one of the key things is now too, you've got great infrastructure that has moved into parts of the Golden Triangle. The SK camp being no exception. Probably well in excess of $1 billion has been poured into infrastructure in the SK camp in the last few years, and I think God just created the SK camp for mining. I mean, it's just an ideal setting. You've got great geology there. You don't have really any major environmental concerns, no significant First Nations issues. The First Nations are completely on board. There's no history of First Nations involvement in this area. So it's kind of protected, I guess, from some of those risk factors that we see play out in the mining sector so often. So it's really a very special part of the world for exploration and mining. I don't think it matters what government is in power in BC. Yes,
it's a go. It's a go.
we got John Horgan and Wacky Weaver running BC right now. It's not a great scenario. Parts of BC, I think, have become more risky for mining and exploration, obviously because of the government. But the SK camp, I think, is fully insulated from that risk. I really believe that. You've got the First Nations totally on board. I mean, if you're up there, if you're on the ground, you'll see what I mean. I mean, there's no communities anywhere around there. It was made for mining, and that's why some of these projects have come into being so quickly. The SK Creek mine very quickly went into production. KSM has all of its permitting. Brucejack came into production very quickly, so it's easy to move projects forward here, and that's a big advantage for Garibaldi. And the other big advantage for Garibaldi, hey, we're in the electric vehicle revolution right now with the interest.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What better project to have up there right now than something that fits perfectly into the demand that we're going to see here for for nickel and cobalt with the electric vehicle revolution and what's happening in the battery sector. So it's just unbelievable timing on the part of Garibaldi to make the discovery.
John, I gotta ask you. Last year we were in the Blue Sky event. All of the speculators piled in. It was the best story in mining, in my opinion, last year. I think the numbers would back that up. Why is GGI taking so long with the news release? I think it's because they need to ignite the market. Do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's a bit ironic, actually, Karl, because I mean, last year you had some people criticizing Garibaldi for being over promotional. Now some of those same people are saying, "Oh, they're not coming out with any news. You know, something must be wrong." You know, you can't have it both ways, right? I mean, I think the circumstances are much different. I mean, last year, you know, Garibaldi started drilling Nickel Mountain with, you know, very little money in its treasury. I mean, I think at certain times over the spring, they may have had trouble even paying their light bill, and then things magically came together, and they knew they were onto something very quick, something big, and they had to obviously get some more money raised, and they did that very successfully. You can't raise money if you're not saying anything. I think this year the focus this summer has definitely been, you know, like a laser beam focus on exploration. Everybody there at Garibaldi is just focused on you know, proving out this deposit. You know, building tonnage. Obviously, we know the grades are there. You know, these are incredible grades of nickel. They got to build out the tonnage, and they're focused like a laser beam on that. So I think last year it was about 3 months from the time Garibaldi first started drilling to when we saw actual assay results. I think we're probably going to see the same thing this time around. And keep in mind, the assaying procedure here is somewhat complicated. You've got 7 different metals. You've got a lot of high-grade rechecks that always have to be done here. So I think it's actually a good sign that they haven't reported anything yet. But I'm sure we'll hear from them soon enough.
Absolutely. So yeah, you're suggesting that if they had high-grade assays, they'd have to be rechecked, which would throw us off time-wise. But also, you know, what do you think's cracked the code here? Is it the geophysics? Because I know Warren Irwin had some comments in regards to that. He's a pretty smart guy, you know.
He is, and Warren did a lot of research actually, you know, prior to the big discovery of Noron. So he certainly knows what he's talking about. Very, very bright guy, and he's a big believer in geophysics. That's obviously a powerful driver of the situation at Nickel Mountain. You got to follow the geology, but you also have to follow the geophysics. And the advances in technology recently have been truly amazing. And you know, what LaMontagne can do in terms of borehole EM is incredible. You know, you drill a hole and you can basically you know, detect these conductors which lead you into the massive sulfides. So the geophysics is really your eyes underground and also above ground. And the massive sulfides obviously are connected electrically, right? So disseminated sulfides will not pick up on borehole EM. They're not electrically connected, kind of like, you know, those old Christmas lights. If one bulb is out, they're all out. But with the massive sulfides, they're connected, and they do pick up with these plates and conductors. So that is a great way to vector in to the massive sulfides. You follow that trail of massive sulfides, ultimately, it should lead to the feeder zone here in this system. One thing about this district, Karl, we talked about how prolific it is. But it is still very challenging exploration. I mean, it's people have to keep in mind up at Nickel Mountain, at this time of the year, it may be sunny and hot, where we are, but you can get snow up there even at this time of the year. I mean, conditions are incredibly variable. It can be dangerous, flying up there, walking around up there. The glaciers create their own weather. It is incredibly challenging exploration. I'm sure there have been stretches of 3-4 days when Garibaldi this summer, like last summer, has not even been able to drill. It can get that challenging up there, and the geology can be complex. So it does take a little bit of time, just like it did with Eskay Creek, just like it did with some of these other deposits in the camp. But they're there, and they're waiting to be found. And I think we got some really tremendous excitement coming up here in this district in the month of September.
So we have arguably Canada's biggest mining speculator, Eric Sprott, on board. You've got Warren Irwin on board. We've got you on board with all of your history and your experience up there. And then we've got Lightfoot on board, and he's compared some of the rocks to Norilsk, I think it's called. Mm-hmm. Is that accurate?
It is, yeah.
I mean, that's pretty insane. That's why I'm heavily invested in this.
Let's have our crews actually bring up a picture of Peter Lightfoot. We have a picture of him holding up some rocks from Nickel Mountain. We can talk about that just for a minute.
Okay. Yeah, we'll throw those up in the background. There's 8 or 12 of them. We'll throw them up slowly so people can start seeing.
Yeah, we like looking at John, but we like rocks.
Yeah, and anywhere else that'd be very strange.
There he is.
Here's a shot of drilling last summer at Nickel Mountain. Now here's Peter. You can see Peter here holding up a couple of rock samples. This was before drilling actually started last summer, and Peter was like a kid in a candy shop. I mean, he was doing some prospecting and found these samples, and these rocks here are classic, typical nickel sulfide rocks that you see in some of the greatest deposits around the world. You've got that chaotic nature of the rocks that Peter likes to talk about. Here's Jeremy Hansen in front of the massive sulfide outcrop at Nickel Mountain. So this was actually a key point. When Jeremy did some channel sampling at the ENL at Nickel Mountain in 2016, they did a nickel tenor analysis. And nickel tenor was not something that was known back in the 1960s when they were first running around Nickel Mountain and making some interesting nickel finds. But the nickel tenor is really key, and the nickel tenor at Nickel Mountain, and the tenor is basically the metal content in 100% sulfide. And the nickel tenor at Nickel Mountain here is ranging anywhere from 4.8% to above 8%. So that analysis of nickel tenor from Jeremy's channel sampling in 2016 from the massive sulfide outcrop at Nickel Mountain really got this project going. That was the first indication that Garibaldi could be onto something big, establishing that nickel tenor. And that nickel tenor has been consistent all the way through. So you've got the classic textures, the loop textured massive sulfides here, the axidic olivine gabbro, the orbicular variable textured olivine gabbro in these rocks. And so this is classic nickel sulfide material. And now the challenge is to prove up the tonnage and to turn this into a mine. And there have been, we've talked about some of the detractors. There's a shot there, a nice rainbow, probably a good luck sign. a rainbow.
Follow it.
That was actually from Thunder North, a little bit, or from Thunder South, actually, I think, a little bit south of Nickel Mountain. You can see the cone there. That's a separate geological event from the Nickel Mountain nickel phase. But the cone is quite interesting. It's quite a fascinating feature, and that marks the boundary between the Metalis property and the Garibaldi property. And as I took that picture, this rainbow appeared. I thought that was a pretty good sign.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
John, we're actually out of time.
Yeah.
But I have a saying, and now that I'm staring at it, there must be a lot of nickel in that mountain. So we're gonna have to, let you loose here. But this was a lot of fun, and we didn't even get to CCW today. Can I get your word that you'll come on and join us again, and we'll talk about Garibaldi and we'll talk about CCW?
Oh, absolutely. We love these district plays. We're going to see a lot of excitement, Karl, in the SK camp and the Northern Ontario Cobalt camp led by Canada Cobalt. Lots of fascinating stuff happening there. So for sure, I'm available anytime you like.
All right.
I'd love to.
Perfect. I'd like that as well. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks, John.
Okay, gentlemen. Thank you.
Okay. All the best.
Yeah, always a pleasure. And we are back.
Yeah, buddy.
Fantastic. John, I'm very, very thankful for him to come in or to take his time and to be able to talk to us, because I don't know if I've ever seen him. I'm pretty sure what I said earlier, the first Facebook Live or the first live event for him to come on, and that guy has so much information. There was not enough time to get all the things we don't want to talk to him, so I can't wait to have him on.
Are you having fun right now?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
I'm in a fantastic chair. Look at this thing.
Yeah.
Look at this site. We've got about 50, 60 people watching us. We've got all these different people coming in, telling us about their different companies. I'm absolutely loving it.
Well, you know what? I just bought some CCW. I pulled a James West. I bought some stock, yeah. I just nibbled in there because
like 8%,
I think we're going to have to ask Justin when we go live with him. But this 69 is the 50-day, and I want to see if it holds it today, if it'll hold that, and maybe I'll be more aggressive tomorrow. But yeah, I just put up a small bid there, and I got filled at 69 cents, which is the 50. So I'm a little bit concerned with that, though. But there's a little TD bid on at 68, and I'm suspecting that they might paint it up, and they're not going to let it close below the 50.
Yeah,
we'll see. But back to John. I mean, that guy is amazing. Like he is just, I'm still new to mining, and like there's so much value with BMR. Everybody looks forward to the Sunday Sizzler, and some people get impatient, right? But these things take time. GGI needs to come up with a whopping news release. They need to ignite the market, right? If they have a news release with 3 holes, and if they're just showing that they're producing similar grades to and lengths of what they were doing last year, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the market's going to sell off, but that's probably not going to get us where we want to go. You know what I mean? So we got to let them drill. Right? Just let them do their thing up there. And John is very, very confident in that play. He always has been. But definitely big ups to him. I mean, he got his subscribers in around 15. Some people got in at 15 cents. I mean, come on. Like, that's ridiculous. A 35 bagger.
Especially if you rode it to $5. Even if you unload it at the $5 range, it's still massive.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And that was a blue sky event last year. You had all the speculators piling into the stock. The story was there, Boise Bay comparison. So, and some people might say it's a little ridiculous, but we'll see. I mean, just keep doing your DD.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
you own it, right?
I do. Yeah. CCW and GGI, because I did my due diligence because of your T-shirt.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, that one. What's that? It's not because of your T-shirt.
Well, we're not going to talk a lot about that right now, but this right here is probably a Netflix documentary in the making.
Yeah.
I'll just make a bold statement.
Bold statement. Okay.
Yeah.
I had to comment at least once about the T-shirt.
No, I'm just supporting my, the movement, man. Yeah. All shares matter, definitely.
Absolutely. Retail investors were smart. People put a lot of information, a lot of due diligence into their
well,
place.
You know what? Some people might have messed with the wrong retailers. That's for sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, that's definitely something for time to tell, and a lot of different things we'll be watching closely.
Oh yeah.
But
Chris Perry mentioned something about this movement.
Did he?
Yeah. Shout out to Chris Perry.
Yeah.
That man is not scared to go after a story.
No, if you can go through a few swear words, that guy writes some.
You mean
really good
like an F-bomb?
Yeah, like one of those ones. Yeah, like you usually
I could
drop every single time.
Absolutely. I actually was dropping an F-bomb in my bed last night at 10 o'clock when you sent me an email.
Yeah.
You were sending me an invite to come to this show. And I'm like, I'm here, bro. I don't need the email. I
thought you were going to come.
Oh my God, I wanted to donkey punch you yesterday.
Yeah. And that's why our relationship works.
But we need Brandon. I mean, you do all the things I can't do or I don't want to do.
Yeah.
And
you say the things that I don't say.
But you add a lot of value, dude. You really do. You kill it.
Yeah, it's been such a fun ride, man. It's been such a fun ride, and we're just getting started, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Now we went from cannabis. We switched over to speak from John about mining, but then we came back to cannabis as well because we were introduced to a group called Magical Butter, where Magical Butter, they've got a machine that basically, whether it be cannabis or any other herbs that you'd like to blend with your cooking, whatever it be, you put it in there, you push a button, you walk away.
Right.
It heats it, it chops it, everything is all set for there.
I haven't seen the interview, so I'm going to watch it. We'll talk about it after. But
well, why don't we cue it up right now?
Cue it up. I'm still thinking about nickel. I dream. When I go to bed, I'm thinking about nickel in the mountain, man. That's what I think about.
Well, right now we're going to think about Magical Butter, and we'll go over there now.
Okay.
Another guest today we have, and all the way from California, is Gary Angel. Gary Angel, you have a company called Magical Butter. Can you talk about a little bit about that?
Magical Butter is a company that in the cannabis industry is pretty old. It's 6 years old. We started in 2012, and what we do is we take cannabis and other herbs and we make it easy for people to turn those into edibles. So in a place like California where you have legal flower but don't have edibles, we fill that void.
No, that's awesome, and it's very interesting. I know we were talking on the phone together just shortly before this, and it's amazing that that product, you know, in Canada, as many investors know, that product is not going to be allowed. You can't have edibles in Canada, but what you can do, and you will be able to have, is butter and cannabis. So it's very, very interesting that you have a product where it's you push a button and it's good to go. And it's not just cannabis, there's many other things, but for that specifically, it's a very, very intriguing spot to be in when it comes from a business side standpoint.
I wake up and every day I feel lucky, but the way that the laws are working around the world where there are restrictions on edibles, but flower is abundant, and at the same token, governments don't want to encourage smoking. So Magical Butter is really that friendly ecosystem between governments who want healthy consumption and licensed producers who can't yet get into the edible space.
No, absolutely, and I believe we were speaking that Canada is going to be one of your main, if not your main focus, but you are in the States as well. Are you going to be in both areas?
Yeah, Magical Butter, one of the things that we've been able to do through the years is build out this logistical platform. So we're sold in the US, in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the EU, the UK, Mexico, South Africa. Our main focus for 2019 is Canada. We have never made a big push in Canada, but we're going all in Canada.
Yeah. It's probably the perfect time to do that as well. Now, when it comes to Magical Butter and the machine that you guys have, are you guys currently, you are having sales already. Are you able to talk a little bit about what your company has already accomplished and possibly what what you're looking to accomplish in 2019?
Yeah, we are a revenue generating company, and we do good revenue, as a matter of fact. We did about 6.1 million last year. This year we'll do between 7 and 10 million. And really, we've been building this ecosystem. I haven't worried too much about revenue running the company. I've worried about building a hierarchy and an org chart that is a team of winners. And now we're scaling. And you don't know this until you're in the hunt like we've been. You can't just press go. You really need foundational support, and that's what we've been doing for 6 years. And 2019 is our year for massive growth.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for it because even just seeing the product myself. Now we do have a video for this product. A second ago we were seeing if we can get it up on the screen here, but it's really interesting where you're able to just add butter into it. Herbs, it doesn't have to be cannabis. It could be rosemary. It could be anything else. And it's not just one thing, but then there's different settings that you can push, and it's literally just you're pushing it, you let it go, it'll blend it up, it'll heat it up, and in the end, I think you're calling it the love glove. Being able to use that, squeeze everything out there, and once that solidifies, you have flavored butter, whether it be cannabis, whether it be any other herbs, that you can cook, you can add to whatever it be. It's really, really interesting because I think a lot of people will want to try this, and it's not expensive either. So it's a very, very interesting product, and it's a very interesting time to have that product really come into Canada as well.
The product has many, many uses. Butters, oils, alcohols. For example, a lot of restaurants around the States use our product to make their limoncello. And
really?
Limoncello taking 30 days, it takes them a couple hours. Bitters, tinctures, all of these are restaurant items now, especially at a lot of these speakeasies. And our product really integrates well into, if you take a medical device from a compounding pharmacy, it's essentially what the magical butter device is. And it's controlled heating sequences. So soup, sauces, salad dressings, you can make soaps and lotions. Yeah. It just empowers you to make your own creations and know what the ingredients are.
No, absolutely. And I saw that the video is going up there. If we do have any issues with the video, what we'll do is during our live segment, we'll get that back on because I want people to be able to show that because we're going to have a couple of minutes to speak about you as well. So we'll be able to air that at that time if we need to. But when it comes to investors, you know, this is so much more than investors, especially speaking with you. It's a passion. It's people who really enjoy, like you said, whether it be cannabis, whether it be alcohol, and these other aspects. But for investors specifically, do you have any plans on listing on an exchange somewhere in Canada? We
do. I was in Toronto last week. I've been in Toronto, I think now 4 of the last 10 weeks. And we're pursuing a listing in Canada. We're really excited about it. It's the easiest place in the world for us to tell our story. And it's going to be where we are spending most of our time in 2019. So it makes sense. We've come in alignment there. And we're aggressively growing the company. So we need access to the capital markets, and Canada is the epicenter of it. We couldn't be more excited. And as far as investors, for us, really everything we do is about community. It's a together we win attitude. We want strategic investors. We want people who really will fall in love with the brand the same way we do and fall in love with Team MB because everybody is passionate and compassionate. And our team is comprised of characters with good character. It's really, we want to welcome people into our group and have them be part of our community more so than invest in the company, invest in the relationship with the company.
Yeah, and that's why I was really careful with saying the investors, because we had spoken before, and there's an amazing passion that you had, and just with what you're doing with your team and what you're doing with the community that you're selling these products to. But when it comes to investors, you know, a lot of investors, especially people in cannabis and millennials like myself, a lot of people are starting to go away from certain companies they don't believe in because they don't just want to, you know, invest in a ticker. They don't just want to invest in a public company. They actually want to invest in what that company is doing. They want to be a part of it. There's a lot more emotion to it than in, you know, say just 10 years ago, 5 years ago, people investing in something where they can see a ticker in their portfolio, and they barely know anything about it. They just know, oh, someone told me to buy it. I think that trend is changing, and when it comes to companies who are really out there with a lot of passion and they have a community to go with them, I think that's where you're going to get a lot more people where it's not just an investor, like you said, but it's you're joining a company. You're having a little piece of a company.
Yeah, we're a big piece, right?
That's a big piece.
we're at, everything that we do is designed for people to come out ahead. And that's the together we win mentality. I don't ever want to have our stock overpriced, and we always want to drive real value. And it's something I've focused on my entire life, and I couldn't be more excited to be in Canada. It's a blessing to be there. And I'm so fortunate for the laws, the way that they've worked out. We didn't know where we were going to make our first move. We were waiting for the state to follow what Canada really did, and Canada built the perfect model.
Yeah. Perfect, except for we need edibles and different things in there. But you know, you're getting there slowly, and I think they will get there relatively soon as well. But no, I agree. You know, from an economic standpoint, that's what I studied in school. I've always been absolutely dumbfounded at how cannabis has stayed illegal for so long. The purposes for cannabis, the different things that you can use it for. You open up your cupboard in your kitchen, you open up your cupboard in your washroom, and half of those things could probably replace with some form of cannabis. And yet all this time we've been doing nothing. I love the fact that Canada has really positioned itself to be one of the global leaders. And, you know, we're hoping our neighbors to the south start coming on board as well. Slowly they are. There's more states now that have some sort of legalization for cannabis than do not. So that's a win right there. But I agree, Canada has set themselves in a really good position. You're very, very smart to be going in there and making that a huge focus for 2019.
Cannabis interacts with our endocannabinoid system. And when you start to understand that the endocannabinoid system interacts with every disease known to mankind, it becomes apparent that it's a dietary essential. And just being in that lane of a dietary essential, to me, it's like a cell phone, right? This is a device everybody has. And we're in that same realm in my mind because this is a dietary essential, and we make the tools for everybody to get connected to it. And it could be a more simple problem and solution to identify. And when I've always looked at opportunities, that's been the focus point, right? What's the problem? How are they solving it? Does it make sense? And that's really our entry point is the fact that cannabis is a dietary essential.
And absolutely, and maybe a little bit off topic, but still the same topic. I do a lot of reading, especially when it comes to cannabis, and there's a lot of different studies that are going on. And funny enough, in the States is where a lot of these are happening, where they're looking at CBD and other cannabinoids interacting with your endocannabinoid system that we have in our bodies for gut rot, like colitis. And that's a very, very interesting study that I really hope gets out there, because they're showing that, or they believe, that when you start having a high intake of things like CBD and other cannabinoids, you're actually helping your stomach get rid of bad bacteria and produce good bacteria. And that's a huge focus for a lot of Americans, North Americans. And it's very interesting how it's so simple and it can just go into a drink, and yet it's only now, 2018, starting to be talked about. It's ridiculous, but I think a lot more of these things are going to start coming into play in the next coming years for sure.
I've had several conversations with venture capitalists from the big pharma companies through the years, and all of them are focused on the microbiome. And cannabis hasn't been allowed to have clinical trials on it globally for 80 years now. And in this period, we've learned a lot about gut health and how gut really, the microbiome health has a lot to do with the overall well-being of an individual. Cannabinoids matter in that equation. They matter in a big way, and thank you for highlighting that.
Well, hey, I appreciate this. You know, we came on here to talk about magical butter and the different issues you're doing as well, but I think it shows a lot of character in yourself with how much passion you have in this. And I think, you know, as people start looking at your company, whether it's your products, whether it's yourself, or one day in Canada in the near future, it's your stock. I think that's going to really resonate with them. So I appreciate your time. I hope to have many more of these talks in the near future, and enjoy California. I can only imagine it's, you got the pool behind you already. I can only imagine it's going to be a great day for yourself there. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for all the viewers. Together we win. MagicalButter.com.
And we're back again, and fantastic job from Garen. I know he just got into California like 2 hours before.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Off a flight?
He just got into the flight, just got to LAX. He's outside of a friend's house. So if you're watching right now, thank you for coming on the show. But we also wanted to show a video. It was, you know, it's one of those things when you're doing a live production, and it was going up and it was stalling for a second. So we do have the video prepared so you can see what exactly we were talking about. So if we can get that all set and rolled, let's take a look.
Welcome to MagicalButter.com, makers of the original countertop botanical extractor. The Magical Butter machine brings ease to making infusions at home. Simply add your herbs to the pitcher of your machine, followed by your butter, cooking oil, or extraction-grade alcohol. Set your temperature and your time, and the machine will do the rest of the work for you. The microprocessor-controlled head unit monitors temperature and engages agitation of the high-powered immersion blender, while the variable temperature buttons allows you to set the optimal range for your infusions. When your machine has finished running its selected cycle, it's time to strain. Pour your infusion directly out of the pitcher through your included 190-micron reusable filter bag and squeeze using your non-stick silicone love glove to remove all of the plant material, leaving you with consistent infused oil and butters every time. Magical Butter's entire line of kitchen accessories gives you access to all the necessities to create the perfect infusions. From the decarb box to silicone spatulas, our complete line of silicone trays lets you produce candies and treats without any hassle, keeping your infusions fresh and ready for use. Magical Butter has a tool for every step of the process. Magical Butter, the world's first botanical extractor.
And there's the video that we were looking to have that whole time. So really, really interesting, because in Canada, like we said in the interview, we're not going to be able to have edibles. But I promise you,
just not right away.
There's a lot of people who do not want to smoke. You know, there's going to be people who, there's always going to be a stigma around smoking. So I think Cannabis has it right, going into drinks, and these other companies that are going into drinks, and going into edibles. I think this is going to be a big thing, especially for people at home. Well, they'll get their cannabis, and they'll want to put it into a certain means. If it's not oils, maybe they
well, no, 100%. It's not going to be the biggest part of the market. I don't want to smoke. Older people as well, right? They might be. It might be easier for them to try something, an edible, right?
No, seriously. So it'll be very, very interesting, especially seeing that in the next little while, we're going to see a massive change in our pharmaceutical world, in like you said, in our elderly healthcare. You know, a lot of those people are going to start going to cannabis for medicine.
Well, look at WeedMD's program.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Amazing. I remember reading their business plan a while ago, and I was like, yeah, this is a good strategy.
Yeah,
I liked it anyway. Not recommending it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've almost got Justin that we're going to be putting up on the screen as well. Justin does a lot of the TA for our group. He's a trader.
There he is.
Hey, there's a good-looking man. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, man. Doing well.
I can't get my level 2 here. I can't get my scrn share. It's not working.
We'll just talk.
It's okay.
So first time.
Justin does a lot of TA, and we're always looking at, especially in our groups, people are asking, throw your L2 in or throw a chart in, and start complaining. But what have you been watching today?
You know what? A lot of the smaller cannabis plays seem to be moving quite a bit. Emerald Health, for some reason, they weren't even on the OCS list, but they've been flying lately.
Yeah.
That's one I've been watching specifically.
Okay, dude. I bought some CCW, and the bid was 68, and the ask was 70. So I threw up 1,000 shares at 69, and it filled. So 69 cents is what, the 50-day?
It's actually 70 now. It moved to 70.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And 69 was yesterday.
Is there a big TD order up at 68 cents? Is that still there?
Karl. Always.
Always, eh? Now
they've been up since 9:30 this morning. That TD order hasn't been touched yet.
Yeah, I'm thinking they're going to paint it. And again, I'm not giving anyone advice. This is just what I think, because I'm looking to buy more, but I want to make sure that this thing holds to 50, So
Absolutely.
a close at 70 is holding the 50, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I got their chart up here, not without any of the rest. Our quote stream isn't working at the moment, but on the screen we have CCW, exactly what Karl is talking about right now. But it'll be interesting. You know, it's been a wild ride. These ups and downs in CCW have been incredible.
Yes.
CLM has had the same, and look at GGI. Just a second ago it was a 320, and then went down to just above $2.
Last week it actually went down to I think it was 211. Could have been a little lower, but I think it was 211. And yeah, I actually bought some.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
And then it went back up, and then Monday it had a powerful move. I think it topped out at 297, Justin. GGI Monday.
297 was a close. Yep.
Yeah, that's a big move right there.
So going over to GGI, we were talking with John earlier. How does this chart look? Are people buying? Are they selling? I haven't looked at anything all day being in the studio.
Today it's consolidating still. I mean, it had that power move when Karl was mentioning from 211. Went up to it actually was a bullish hammer that day. Closed at 248. Following day just crushed it. Was up to 297. So it's been consolidating still. You know, it's not making any crazy moves. It's going to take some good news to move the stock, in my opinion, with volume. Because right now it's tapering off a bit. Those people that want to buy in the low twos like Karl did, or 220, 230 even, you know, they're holding strong, and there's not many shares available at this point.
You were loading up down there in the low twos, I think I remember, right?
Not as good as you. I loaded up the 230s, 240s.
Yeah. Well, I did too, but I didn't catch the bottom, honestly.
No.
So that move up on Monday on GGI, there was, I think, around 500,000 shares traded. And I don't remember the percentage gain. I think it was around, was it around 20%? Maybe? Anyways.
About
that's
20%. Yeah.
Would you say that that's a powerful move on 500,000 shares traded? Like, doesn't that kind of reflect the float and how potentially it's probably locked up there pretty tight?
Well, there is this one individual who keeps buying in and over and over again, and he's by himself kind of eliminating a lot of those shares that are available to those the other users like me and you, right? So this is one of the tightest floats around.
Okay.
If you look at the accumulation model, yeah, Eric Sprott, there you go. It's just been accumulated ever since last year. It's an insane number of shares, and really it's belonging to a few individuals who are very, you know, they have tight hands. They're not going to let this stock go for less than what they feel it's worth.
Yeah. All right. What's the RSI at right now?
54.
Okay.
So it's reset. I mean, during that little run the other day, it got up to about 60. So it's came down a little bit. Definitely a lot of room to run.
Okay.
Massive green candle on that.
Yeah. Well, do you want to switch over to? Well, okay. You know what? Let's finish off here at GGI. So, what would indicate another breakout? Because we're consolidating, right? What would be a breakout?
So we were looking previously, and we were hoping that this would run into the threes. It didn't. The latest high was looking here, July 6th. Had a high of 329. So a break above that level, 329, 330 area, to me with volume would indicate that, you know, the next level up.
Okay.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, was it 288 or 286 was right at the 50 and 200 moving average?
Yep.
Yeah.
The 50 and the 200
It just broke that, but they got rejected
right?
around 3.
286, Justin?
Yes, 286 was both.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely pay more attention to that. I know Eric Sprott doesn't care about technicals.
No, he doesn't.
Just like, yeah, if I could throw up a bid, he'd move. He's a market mover.
Yeah, I bought a couple shares, $1 million.
Yeah. All right. You want to look at CCW?
Yeah, well, do you want to look at CCW? You're the one who just bought some.
Look, I nibbled back in today, but I want to see if the 50 holds, and I'm pretty sure it will. I think this TD guy sitting on the bid is probably going to paint it, you know what I mean, and keep the 50, but I want to see that, and then tomorrow I'll make another decision. That's my strategy. But I definitely like
CCW.
CCW.
guy, how's it looking?
That's crucial, I feel, and I think there's a lot of individuals that are looking to buy at that point. I was just looking. Can you guys get the level 2 up on your end?
I'm looking at on my phone, quote stream on my phone.
Yeah.
So there are. Let me just check here. Last time I checked, there were 16 orders. Yeah, still 16 orders at 68 cents. So that indicates to me there's a lot of people looking to buy at that level, not just one or two big fish, but quite a few people who see that as a nice loading point.
Okay,
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, my bad, Justin. You go ahead.
On the contrary, on the ask, you're really looking at one or two orders all the way from 70 cents up to about 78 cents, which is your next big wall. So there's really not much available in terms of shares. However, there hasn't been much buying pressure today. Volume is very low.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if we lose the TAs to the short side, where's our support if the chart breaks?
You're saying if 68 or 70 doesn't hold?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you got to look at what were the most recent supports in previous 64 cents, I would say. It bounced off there twice, back on August 2nd and then again on August 9th. So that's where I would look at one of the key support levels. And then if that doesn't hold, I mean, you're talking maybe to back down to the 50s as a next support level with high volume.
Yeah, you know what? I'm liking it. It's unfortunate the last two NRs 2 NRs ago, we had a director selling. Remember that? It was like 500,000 shares, 40,000 shares.
Right into huge volume.
Yeah, it kind of killed momentum. And it was an unfortunate thing, too, because I don't think I was told the gentleman that was unloading, it wasn't, it was for family reasons.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's like he lost faith or anything. And then the last NR, there was a little gap up, and I was looking to see, like I owned it, and I was hoping more momentum was going to come to the upside, and I didn't see the buyers come in, and then I saw a discount on GGI, so I took that, moved my money around. But I kept some on the side to jump back in, and so this is why the 50 to me is a big thing. And I think CCW, I think they're out in California having meetings, so we just need some more buyers coming in there. Again, not advice, not recommending anything. This is what I'm doing.
Well, on that note, I know, Justin, you spend a lot of time looking at technical analysis. I've always been a fundamentalist. I always look for something that makes a company different. When it came to CCW, with, what's it called, RX20?
Technology?
RX20 is a certain technology, but what they're able to do is they're able to process cobalt into cobalt sulfite without smelting.
Right.
Smelting is a very expensive process, but also you have to use chemicals to then, once you melt the rock, you have to use chemicals to separate it.
Yeah.
So it's actually, there's a lot of crap that you're going to have to put into the government or into the environment or have to dispose of. They're skipping that process. Not only that, they are going from rock to battery. This is the equivalent of doing seed to sale for cannabis, where they've got their own mine, they're mining it, they're refining it, and right now they're talking to people in the battery industry about selling that product straight to them. It would literally be a rock to sale, a rock to product sale, so they have no middleman there.
Well, you know what? We didn't get to talk to John today about CCW. We'll have him on next week, I'm sure, or soon to talk about the tech. He'll want to. And some people out there were saying, is it scalable? Right? And now listen, I have no opinion on that. We need John to explain that. He's probably the best guy. Or get them on, get Frank on himself, and maybe we can do that. Yeah, I like it.
Yep. And you know what? If it's a certain thing, the price would already be up.
Yeah.
There's always risk when you're in these types of plays.
Okay, let's go look at Canopy. So it's
a crazy spike.
Well, yeah, this is interesting here. Because I remember I was watching Midas Letter yesterday with Uncle Ed there, doing his TA stuff, and he was kind of leaning on the side that there'd probably be a 15 to 20% correction. I think he was mentioning that. And I mean, it did kind of make sense to me, but now it's up like 3.5%. It's around, 51.98 right now. Yeah. What are the TAs showing on that, Justin?
On weed.
Yeah.
one of the ones that got away from me. Today, surprisingly, it did dip quite a bit in the morning, and I think a lot of people were expecting a red day. I mean, you can't keep this trend for so long, right? However, it's came back this afternoon, like you said, it's up about 3-4% right now.
Yeah.
It's testing the high I made yesterday, 52.48. So it could, I'd be looking at making a new high today as a sign of potential to move higher even. RSI is at 74. I know this deal with Constellation has kind of thrown a lot of TA and thrown it out the window, but I'd be wary to buy right now. However, like I said, I've been wrong before.
Yeah, well, it's close to that 52-week high right now. 52.48 is what I'm showing. We got to top that, right?
And it's well above its 52-week high that it was holding for the longest time. From before the correction.
So what's everything else doing? Is it pulling things up? Let's have a look here. What about Aurora?
Well, a lot of it went really red. Just trying to keep up on a few things while we were doing these different interviews and all that today, and it looked like they did reversals with it. So I'm curious.
So Emerald Health is up, Tinley's up, Tetra Bio Farm. Those are all stocks that's kind of pulled up with it. Hip's up. Hip's up 7%. So.
You say Hip?
Yep.
What did it do yesterday? 30% or something like that?
It was crazy yesterday. I think it was about 30%.
It just shot, and I don't remember hearing any. Oh, I think they got the Ontario OCS. I think that was the trigger, but it was a huge trigger.
You know what? Can we look at American?
Yeah.
See what a breakout on American would be? I'm thinking it's around 211, but.
Yeah, 210 or 211. I think I remember Justin actually saying that.
Yeah.
Yep. So American. I was just looking at this earlier today. I do own American, so this opinion might be biased.
Thanks for
212. 212 is the 200. So 212 is the sign of the next, I'd say, breakout. It did approach that level back in May, and it was rejected back on May 14th. Creeped up again back in June, got rejected again. But both those times were with low volume. So if we can see some sort of event in the next little while, along with buying pressure, we might be able to see a breakout here. And like you said, Brandon, 212 would be that area.
Yeah, it's nice to see as well, because unlike Canopy left a pretty nice gap, like 37 something in the chart. This one doesn't seem to have any.
No, none.
Why don't we go over to our chat rooms, see what they're doing?
So I made a list. I was just looking. I asked a lot of our users what they'd be looking at in terms of what they're seeing today. On the cannabis side, they were talking about Emerald Health, Tinley, Tetra Bio Farm, and then on the energy mining side, they were talking about ABN. I think that's the one that Sprott just dived into. NPO, GBR, SKE, and GTT. So any of those, I'm sure a lot of your users would be interested to hear about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've got them up on my screen here. Our chat rooms. If we've got our producer extraordinaires in the background, but it's just nice. Whenever you're not paying attention too much, you run in there and you see Canopy 5 times in a row. Like, maybe I should check out Canopy. And you can just run so it's nice. It's like I said earlier at the beginning of the show, find a group of people that you can speak to and invest with. Doing it by yourself, it's some people love it, but in the most part, if you have other people to bounce ideas off of, that's when you can start really learning if your idea is stupid or if you're onto something. What was golden? I know everyone was yelling about that yesterday. I haven't seen it today in our chat though.
Oh, golden's down 0.5 cent.
Okay, what about Sokibun?
Which one is that? Karl, what's the symbol?
SIC, S-I-C.
Ah, SIC, yes. 6 down 1%.
So everything's kind of leveled off there.
What's it at though? It's consolidating.
6, it's at 32 cents. So it reached a high of 58 back on the 7th.
And ABN? What's their news today? Sprott took down the PP, I think.
He did, yeah.
I don't know if that was today or
did he?
if it was like last week.
No, it was. I think yesterday was the official NR. But ABN's even as well today.
Okay.
So we didn't miss too much. We missed a lot in cannabis though. We missed a massive roller coaster. Everything dipping, everyone almost panicking, and then.
Yeah.
Emerald Health is the one that I'm most surprised with. I mean, they weren't on that list, so they're not, one of OCS's preferred suppliers. However, they have, if you look at their chart, they went up from, when was that announcement, Monday?
Yeah.
So they went from 288 up to 417 currently.
Wow, that's a huge. What's their market cap right now?
We're missing with that one.
Well, that's what I'm like. One thing I've learned in the cannabis sector, there's a lot of loose lips. We can't all be Cannabis management team who keeps it all in.
Well, actually, I believe James, Mr. West there, has an interview coming up with them. So,
really?
Yep.
That'll be very interesting. I wonder if there's something that other people know, and that's what's causing it to go up. Who knows? But that's what we're doing. We're just speculators at one point, right? You see something go up, like you said, there's no actual news release or catalyst. You keep wondering yourself, what is it?
Yeah.
It's amazing what our minds can get to. Did you see that thing in our chat room today? There was, so Cam Batley was on here earlier, and he was holding an empty Starbucks cup.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Everyone's saying.
Everybody, that's all it takes, right? Come on Midas Letter, have an empty Starbucks.
Aurora's buying Starbucks, or Starbucks is going into from an empty cup. So, to all the management team out there, forgive us. We love speculating. 1 out of 10 times we're right.
So here's a cool fact. Justin is in part responsible for the name Follow the Money.
I remember that, actually.
Yeah. When George and I were, let's do this. We brought Justin and we're like, hey, do you want to start a group? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And I started a little chat room and I was like, well, what should we name this thing? And he's like, Follow the Money. And there's a backstory there which I won't tell.
Yeah.
But that's Justin.
Well, hey man, I appreciate it. We added 2 words after the end of that, but we kept it.
And we changed one.
Yeah. Well, hey man, is there anything else that's high and flying tonight? We'll maybe let you go if you're all set. Because thank you for coming on, man. It was relatively last second. I appreciate it.
Sounds good. Yeah, no problem. Hopefully next time we can get the screen sharing up and running. I'm sure it's a simple fix, but
yeah, it's our first time.
It's all learning. We're just faking till we make it here.
Did you have fun though, Justin? You have fun?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Nice.
Perfect. Well, hey man, I appreciate it very much. We'll do this again numerous times. We'll get the charts up, and we'll keep looking at different things as things are evolving. We'll keep you in the loop, and you'll keep us in the loop.
Yeah. Thanks.
Of course, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yep. Cheers, man. Appreciate it. Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome he was able to come in like that. I appreciate it.
Oh,
and that's the thing, right?
He's a good guy.
I love being able to
guy.
go to our different members. We have certain members who are great at fundamentals. Like, they see something, like, oh, this is an amazing news release. This is an amazing concept. Other people are great at doing technical analysis and breaking down the stocks. And then other people like myself are great at talking, so I get a lot of ideas out.
You like to talk, and you like to send emails at 10 o'clock. But
10 o'clock, that's early.
Justin is like, he's value added to our live chat rooms, right? So if you're in there and you're like, well, I don't know what resistance is, or you want to know what it is, you can always just do a little at Justin, or there's Chris too, Chris Button, John Smith. There's lots of people that'll help out, right? You don't have to sit there, and the TAs are good, right? You don't have to be naked, right? So yeah, we should definitely. If you haven't joined our Facebook group, you should now.
We'll see if we can go and get the plug going up and see if the producers are able to do the Facebook group now. I don't know if that worked or not. But no, man, I appreciate you coming on as well. I hope everyone enjoyed people that came on.
I was nervous for my interview with John.
Yeah.
I'm not maybe that good at the interviews, but I really, really enjoy doing this stuff. I can do this all day.
It's all new, right? And I did not go to school, but you know what? I want to get on the Midas Letter for going to school, and I want to talk about cannabis. I assure you that's not what I spent tens of thousands of dollars on. But here we are, enjoying ourselves, and it's growing, right? Every day we keep learning. I keep learning more about technical analysis. You keep learning more about not swearing online. You did a great job tonight.
I said it once.
You said it once.
Yeah, to make a point. And you know what? We're launching our forum soon.
Yeah, so I can't wait for that as well.
Through our website, FTMIG.com, all of the news releases get aggregated, and then we're going to attach our form to the news releases so you can continue the conversation if you have questions.
Exactly.
That's being built right now, and it's looking.
Never be scared to ask questions. If it's you've never been trading before or anything like that, feel free to ask them in any one of our groups or anything like that, because that's where you're never going to learn unless you start asking. It's a no until you ask. So
I just had an idea.
You just had an idea?
Yeah.
What's your idea?
We're going to have to get our website behind you instead of that image. not that one. I don't that one.
No, one of these days.
We'll get our website.
But I feel like The one and only James West is on his way. I actually just saw him walk by.
He did.
The one and only Ed is coming over. So the two and only are about to start at 3 o'clock for Midas Letter Live. I saw him earlier.
Ed, you here?
Yeah, they're too important for us. They just walk right by. And no, but I appreciate everyone for tuning in. We'll do this again very soon.
I had a lot of fun, man.
We'll see who we can bring on next. Absolutely. The random high fives to end off alive.
Go GGI.
Take care, everyone.